Welcome to our exhibition, Go-Betweens, The World Seen Through Children. Through the works of 26 artists and groups from around the world, this exhibition highlights both the world in which children live and the problems that infiltrate their environment. Coined by Jacob A. Riis, a photographer active at the end of the 19th century, the term go-betweens means medium or somebody who crosses borders or spaces, and refers to the children of immigrants in New York. Difficulties with the English language prevented the parents from fully merging into American society, and the children came to function as go-betweens. They were able to travel between the two cultures of the home country and the United States, and bridge the space between children and adults. The sight of these children and their impoverished daily lives conveyed the limitless possibilities of these children, yet also drew attention to this social problem. The first section, entitled Beyond Culture, opens with Riis's photographs, works that mark the beginning of American photojournalism. This is then followed with similar works by other photographers that also portray these children who lived and survived in multiple cultures. In 1894, at the age of 21, Jacob A. Riis left his home in Denmark for the United States. In the New World, he worked as a newspaper reporter. Struck by the sight of immigrants living in abject poverty, he began exclusive coverage of their condition. He moved to the slums as part of his attempt to capture their true lives in photographs. In this exhibition, we have selected those photographs in which children are featured. Riis showed slides of his work during lectures he gave throughout the United States, in which he highlighted the horrific living conditions of the children. Activities such as this influenced President Roosevelt and his policies. The next photographer featured here is Louis W. Hine, who is credited with having changed the United States and the social problem of child exploitation. The reason for the numerous group photographs can be explained by his having had to photograph these children in secret from their adult employers, which required him to assemble them when he could at unpredictable moments. These photographs exercised a profound influence on American society and directly contributed to the establishment of child labor laws. Miyatake Toyo was born in Kagawa Prefecture in 1895. In 1923, he opened a photography studio in the Little Tokyo of Los Angeles and subsequently developed a reputation as an extremely fine photographer with his portraits of famous people and photographs of the Los Angeles Olympic Games. With the bombing of Pearl Harbor in 1941, over 110 Japanese and Japanese Americans residing in the United States were sent to internment camps. Miyatake was placed in the Manzanar Relocation Center in California. Although the internees were not allowed to bring personal items, Miyatake felt called upon to record images of the internment camps, smuggled in a lens, and constructed a camera by hand while in the camp. He was later recognized as the official photographer and documented the life of the internees. The camps provided a variety of facilities, fishmongers, barbershops, even recreational activities for internees to enjoy. And when compared to the Japanese in wartime Japan, the life of the Japanese and Japanese-American internees in the camps was considerably more comfortable. This life, however, was without freedom and unfolded behind a barbed wire fence, and the insecurity the Japanese Americans experienced is palpable in these photographs. Kim Insook was born in 1978 in Osaka, Japan, and is a third-generation Zainichi Korean, a Korean residing in Japan. She studied at Korean schools in Japan until graduating from secondary school. Now based in Seoul, she travels back and forth between Korea and Japan. This exhibition includes portraits of children who cross the Japanese-Korean cultural boundary and the daily life of Zainichi Koreans. Now, please listen to an interview with Kim Insook.
The portrait of the family displayed on the wall to the left is entitled Saeso, Between Two Koreas and Japan, and the work displayed on the triangular prism is entitled Sweet Hours and portrays the daily life of school children. I should point out that I do not create my works to explain Zainichi, or Koreans residing in Japan. Because my family name is Kim, when I meet people, they often ask me where I am from. My mother is Japanese. My father is Zainichi. I attended Korean school. And 3 countries, Japan, Korea, and North Korea, form the core of my being. Other people consider nationality as a unique and singular thing. However, internally, I cannot think of nationality as singular, and this discrepancy is the reason behind the creation of my works. The Zainichi are often lumped together as a group, but there are nevertheless multiple identities, which even I cannot explain. Within this, I am conscious of my roots in Korea that exist within Japan. Other Zainichi have South Korean citizenship, or are registered in Japan as Korean, and others have taken Japanese citizenship. In my works, I hope to show how Korea as a background is changing. I also hope to show those people who endeavor to transmit their awareness of their Korean roots to the succeeding generations the purpose behind this hope that changes with the generations, their memories, and their culture. Families and schools exist in all countries, and I have chosen this theme as everyone experiences both. In creating these works, I want people to see the multiple normalities that make up the larger collection of Zainichi. Born in China in 1976, Zhang Oh now lives and works in New York. Many of her works focus on the contradictions and future uncertainties seen in the profound changes to life caused by China's rapid economic growth. Displayed here is a series of family portraits of Chinese girls with the American fathers of their adoptive families in the United States. With China's 1992 decision to relax the regulations surrounding international adoption and marriage, many children have been adopted by foreign families. Overcoming the boundaries of state and race, these children forged new identities in their new cultures and families. As society continues to change with globalization, family structure is increasingly diverse. The theme of this section is a world of freedom and isolation. Along with the child's unique sense of sadness and sense of solitude, this section also focuses upon the world of freedom only permitted children. The atmosphere of Konishi Junya's work, entitled Time of Child, differs from the innocence seen in most photographs of children, and is, rather, a world imbued with a mysterious and strange ambiance. In reflecting upon one's own childhood, when playing house or transforming into a hero, did we not leave the world of the present and fully inhabit the realm of fantasy? This luxurious world of freedom is one provided by the child's unique sense of isolation, and becomes a moment that provides adults with an invaluable insight. Now, please listen to an interview with Konishi Junya.
These photographs are of my own children, their friends that were close by, and of families and children in the immediate vicinity that I spoke with and was allowed to photograph. Rather than documentary photographs, my works are staged. This may be overblown, but I feel they resemble the staged photographs of Cindy Sherman and other photographers from the past. My original desire was to create compositions with children, but I also wished to include the accidental occurrences of the moment. I found inspiration in the behavior of the child models and in their expressions and movements. One of the things I was careful to do when shooting was to ensure that the camera angle was never excessively higher than the eye level of the children, and if possible, at the same or even lower level. I believe that for children, the home and the bedroom are protected spaces. In a positive light, children are free. On the other hand, in a negative light, they are self-absorbed and play according to their own rules. In possession of their own worlds, it is difficult for others to intrude into these realms. These worlds that revolve around them, these internal orders, reconstruct everything around them. This is what I think of when creating my works. When we reflect upon our own childhood, not all of our memories are of happy occurrences, and we may recall those that were traumatic. This third section explores the theme of children and their memories of the pain and the conflict they encounter in society. First, we turn to Christian Boltanski's Altar to the Shasa High School. Portrayed in these photographs are Jewish students enrolled in Shasa High School in Vienna, 1931. The sense of unease that raises memories of the persecution and ensuing atrocities inflicted upon the Jews is tangible in these photographs, in which vague memories are reflected in their blurred expressions. Children without names, and memories that fade. These unfocused portraits cause the viewer to reflect upon the tragedy to strike these students, and how the passage of time makes sport of their lives. Tracy Moffat is an Australian artist born in 1960. Moffat's work, Scarred for Life, depicts experiences that constitute trauma for children, cruelty, and the bitter words spoken by family and friends. Occasionally, memories of excessive love and the pain it can induce during childhood can be seen in these photographs. The image of the family as a realm of security and warmth has been shattered, and the violence of hidden taboos appears. The series entitled Up in the Sky comprises photographs taken in the marginalized regions of the Australian continent that focus on the coexistence of the Australian Aboriginal population and the immigrant white population. From the late 19th century until the 1970s, Australian government policy openly removed Aboriginal children from their families to be raised in white families or boarding houses. These children, forcibly taken from their homes, are often referred to as the stolen generations. In this illusory tale, dark images of the past float to the surface. In this section entitled Caught Between Adult and Child, we focus on the qualities of adolescents as they travel to and fro between the border of childhood and adulthood, no longer child, yet neither an adult. Kikuchi Tomoko, presently based in Beijing, continues to produce journalistic works that force the reader to focus on societal changes. In 2012, she was awarded the Kimura Ihe Photography Award. Now, please listen to an interview with Kikuchi. The central piece is entitled Lost Boundaries. This work has captured the psychological state of a teenager living in Chongqing. The images projected onto the surrounding walls are a work entitled Kizushiro, or Wounded. The second character of the Japanese title, Shiro, means city in Chinese, and a full translation would be
The Wounded City. These images were taken at the same time Lost Boundaries was photographed and captured Chongqing at a time of rapid change. The girl in Lost Boundaries embodies more than any other youth I have met, particularly those born in the 1990s, the existence of and entirety of the contradictions of Chinese society. Opportunities to meet people such as this are extremely rare. She lives her existence possibly suffering from gender identity disorder. Before this work, I photographed drag queens at a time when they were oppressed. One day, when I went to Chongqing, the atmosphere had completely changed. To be gay was completely normal, and there were teenagers who were gay or bisexual or whatever. Up until this point, they would have lived in secret, but in Chongqing, they cross-dressed openly, celebrating their lives, which was something that shocked me. In the lengthy process of photographing this remarkable change, she appeared. There had been a huge growth in drag queen, lesbian couples. She is bisexual and therefore also likes women. At the same time, however, she is a female that could only be taken for a male. Over the last decade, or I should say last 5 years, the concept of sexuality in Chinese society has changed. The parents of children born in the 1990s, such as hers, married and had children at a time when sexuality was suddenly freed with the changes in Chinese society. These parents had affairs, and for the children raised in these crumbling families, male-female relationships were suspect and untrustworthy. If there should be somebody that can be trusted, gender is irrelevant. She is one of those children. A large screen has been placed on a wall, and a smaller screen has been suspended from the ceiling to face the larger screen. The images projected on these screens are of multi-ethnic high school students in Sweden. The artist stated that she had no expectations of being able to film the remarkable facial expressions of the students. The video camera has captured the unique self-awareness of the emerging adult. Their thirst for recognition is strong, and occasionally this desire verges on brazen impudence as they oscillate between confidence and internally harbored insecurity. The adolescents in this work are in fact the ones who bear the future. In other words, tomorrow, which is the title of this work. The interest in this work for the viewer lies in the viewer's position, which, when shifted, changes the perception of the screen. This then reinforcing the title's concept of the young adults as they change when faced with the unknown tomorrow and what this represents. We hope that you enjoy this experience. Please listen to the following interview with Kondoh Akino. The animated work projected on the screen in front is entitled Kiyakiya. The comic work displayed on the wall to the right is known as Rendezvous. Many of my works, not just Kiyakiya, are based on childhood memories. The primary memory that went into the creation of Kiyakiya is of something that happened when I was in kindergarten. There was a picture book I always read when I was taken to the hospital we always went to. But one day, the conclusion was different. This only happened once. I recall this as having been an extremely odd experience, and wanted at some point to use it in a work. Later, I was reading Shibusawa Tatsuhiko's Shoujo Kore Kushon Josetsu, a preface to the little girl's collection, and first encountered the expression kiya-kiya when referring to the emotions one experiences when beginning to recall something, but one is irritated because they cannot fully recall the memory. Yet despite a slight unease, the sensation is nonetheless pleasant. It's the feeling one has after having experienced déjà vu. When I learned this expression, I felt it would allow me to give some shape to my memories of the picture book.
I had a terrifying nightmare as a child. A monster whose body was completely covered with something that looked like fermented soybeans was killing everybody in the neighborhood. But at the very moment it reached our house, the images suddenly stopped, and a title appeared in my dream. The title, however, was completely in Chinese characters, which as a child in kindergarten I could not read, but it nevertheless left a deep impression. With this, I came to believe that it isn't absolutely necessary to be able to read characters. When I was designing the logo for the title to be used for Kia Kia, I felt it unnecessary to be completely legible, and created something that may or may not be readable. Children speak with the greatest innocence about what they have eaten, whom they were with, and any other topic that strikes their imagination. Nevertheless, there are moments when an ambiguity is present in their stories, the ambiguity concerning their origins in their mother's body. Shiota Chiharu was born in Osaka in 1972 and is currently based in Berlin. The theme of many of her works is memory and forging associations with people and places of the past. The motive behind her work, How Did You Come Into the World?, stems from listening to her daughter tell of her memories of being inside her mother's womb. The children speaking in this work are aged 3 and under, attending nursery schools in Marugame City in Kagawa Prefecture and in Berlin. The children have blended reality with imagination as they speak with great animation of their experiences before having been born in this world. In this 5th section, Moving Between Different Dimensions, the focus is on children who travel between the world of reality and the world of fantasy. Seoung Won creates photographic works through digital collage, all of her works capturing a fairy tale-like world. Once she has conceived of an image, she travels throughout Korea seeking the desired scene, which, when found, she then photographs. The combined images of immense time with place impart a remarkable reality to her works. In the series entitled My Age of 7, Won recreates the sense of unease she experienced at the age of 7. Now please listen to an interview with Seoung Won.
My Age of 7 has a form of children's story. This is about the 7-year-old girl looking for her mom. I usually suffered from an anxiety feeling, but I don't know why. One day, I realized there is a hurt little girl living inside of me. Then I remember when I was a child, I was excluded from my family and grew up with this fear of insecurity. Ever since then, I felt constant state of anxiety, so I will always want to get out from this anxiety feeling. Thus, I decided to give a new memory to her as a present. So, I created 11 fairy tales images of a girl looking for her mom. Mom is a symbol of stability. This was a try to make myself relive that memory. I hope this new memory will make my anxiety go away. It was hard to find houses, villages, or playground from the period of 1978 when I was 7 years old. But it was a great joy to take photos, those objects found the hard way. The act of photographing them or traveling around looking for things in my childhood memories was already a beginning of therapy for me. I think anxious child is almost next to problematic family. We can hear many times about this social issue on various media, but it looks like little progress or there are not much help for children. I believe this issue should be shown as it is, be seen as an image and be heard in the category of art through this exhibition-like go-betweens. Image is stronger than words, remembered longer than anything. What I hope from the audience is they share this fear and anger of those emotionally damaged children. Just simply being a companion, standing on their side, can solve many problems.
Look, we can now see something extremely interesting. It is the beginning of our tour of hell. Yamamoto Takayuki's work, New Hell, What Kind of Hell Will We Go To?, began with a workshop in which Yamamoto had children create what they imagined hell to be. The following is an interview with the artist. I began creating this work by showing children paintings of the Buddhist hells represented in the Kumano Kanshin Jikkai Mandala, a work that portrays the 10 Buddhist worlds. The mandala illustrates the different hells to which people are sent for the punishment of specific sins. The hells, however, have been illustrated as a place through which one passes, and at the end, there is a bridge where an incredibly kind and gentle being, a holy figure of some sort, greets people and thanks them for their pains and efforts, after which they all proceed to heaven. I showed this painting to children and asked them if they thought all of their classmates would go directly to heaven. As they said no, I then asked them to create a new hell, which is the basis for this piece. If I ever should conduct a workshop in which I create a Martian with the children, I would nevertheless explain that if humanity is to go to Mars, there probably won't be a Martian that resembles their creation. What is interesting about hell, however, as only the dead can go, is that it is impossible to confirm its existence. If this is so, then the hells created by the children may actually exist. All the hells were hells of the heart, or hells in which the sinners were about to fall off the lions they were riding, and it may be possible that those who had teased the classmates while they were playing on the bars would be sent there. The hells created by the children may represent their desire for revenge for the unpleasant things done to them, or the morals forced upon them by their parents and teachers. While they had great fun in creating these hells, there was the danger that they themselves may go to one of these hells. I find the world in which we live and its proximity to hell of immense interest. The children here are exchanging opinions about something. They are talking about color, form, and about a woman. Their discussion waxes over what sort of person she is, and what could have happened to her to make her cry. The children are actually viewing a reproduction of Picasso's The Weeping Woman. This work provides multiple insights. Even without knowing Picasso, even without an understanding of art, the children with their intellectual freedom are nonetheless able to find all manner of things in Picasso's painting. They are not simply discussing the superficial surface of the work, but things that cannot be seen. If we as adults could recapture this sense of possibility, what sort of future would await us? If it were occasionally possible to return to childhood on some fantastic voyage, the world would perhaps be a freer, more wonderful environment. With this, the Acoustiguide audio tour reaches its conclusion for the Go-Betweens exhibition. Please return the guide as you leave. Thank you.